We're joined on Wisconsin.golf by Neil Johnson of River Falls, second stage of Webcom Tour qualifying. And Neil, I know not the kind of start you wanted today, but it's a Jack Nicklaus course. It was playing tough today. How do you balance, the fact that that it was a challenge out there with, the fact that you want to go low and get to that final stage?
Yeah, it's a balance because the way it was playing today, some tricky winds and some tricky pins. So it was a balance to not get too aggressive. And then especially once I got off to kind of a bad start, I was like, I want to make birdies, I want to get right back in this thing, but it just wasn't out there. You couldn't start forcing it because I wasn't making any putts, I wasn't hitting it that close. So then it was, just trying to be patient, and then, nothing really came out of it today, and I ended up with kind of a really disappointing 76.
You had opportunities early, birdie opportunities. Did you learn anything when you had the one on number one, and I think you had a really good look at two.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, are you telling when you don't make those, what does it tell you about the course? What does it tell you about what to expect the remainder of the round?
Yeah, I easily could have gotten a couple early there, 1 and 3. Yeah, and I usually I just let those go. It's like, hey, you're gonna get plenty more chances, and I really did. I'm sure I had 10 or 12 chances after that for birdie, and it's not like all of them were great chances, but they were good. They're good, 6 to 8 of them that were quality chances. And you miss a couple of those early, you're just like, well, all right, they didn't go in here. They will eventually. I have confidence in my putting that I'm going to start making putts at some point. It just didn't happen today at all. Made nothing outside of. I made one putt, outside of 5 feet probably on the whole day.
Sure. Now, with all that you've done this year, what was the confidence level coming into this event? And does the complexion of a second stage qualifier at any level change after the years that you've put in, kind of going through the drill each summer?
Yeah, coming in, I had confidence. Coming into first stage, I had a ton of confidence, and I kind of got a little bit, I guess you could say, overconfident for that stage, and I had a battle there. But I came into this, feeling, hey, my game feels good. The way the summer went, I've been playing really, really good. But at second stage, it's just a different level from the other ones because there's so many good players that every little shot does matter. And regardless of how tough it's playing, how tricky the wind is, or difficult the pins are, there's so many good players. Like it's just a fine line there. You can't go out and have 2 doubles like I did, and you can't really put up a 76. I fought hard to get back to 74. At one point I was 3 over with a really good birdie putt on 14, and just missed it. But if that had gone in, you talk about the confidence of that. All of a sudden, hey, you're 2 over. There's a birdie on a really tough hole. But that putt didn't go in, and then I bogeyed the next hole, and it's just like, all right, now you're back to 4 over. So it was a weird up and down day, even though I didn't really hit it as bad as a 76. I just was getting nothing out of it, and walked off well behind where I need to be.
Sure. Do you look at you played a couple practice round out here, and do you think what's a good number, where do you have to be, or do you try to tune all that out and just sort of make as many birdies each day as you can?
I try and tune it out. I won't look at the leaderboard too much. I just know, I know my game, and I know if I go out and play, if I play good golf, I'm going to be in the top 20, or top 10. I'll be inside the cut line. Mm-hmm. So I just tune that out because I don't like to think project what the number might be. Just especially the first couple rounds.
Sure.
I'll look later in the week, maybe third round, fourth round. I'll see, But now it's after this round, it's like, let's just keep my head down and see if I can get a couple back tomorrow or whenever. Into the third day, and just see if I can claw my way back, really.
What do you work on, though? You, for the most part, you struck it pretty well. You gave yourself chances. Is there anything that you can't go to a putting green after the round and simulate some of these hole locations or some of the green complexes that are out there in the real deal?
You can't, and I thought about that when I signed my card. I'm like, do I just go to lunch and get a smoothie and go back and take a nap, or do I go practice? If I practice, what am I practicing on? Because yeah, I mean, I guess about the only. I mean, I think the biggest thing is up in the head. You know, just trying to kind of regroup that. You know, I did a decent job today of not letting it get away from me on the front side. I mean, it really could have gotten away from me after 7 holes. But then just trying to regroup and realize that there's still a lot of golf to go, and I can catch fire. I can get hot. You know, I mean, there's still plenty of time to figure it out. I mean, I've played plenty of Nicklaus courses or crazy difficult courses. You know, and it took me a while, but eventually I figured it out, and you know, just caught fire at the end. And I'll try and do something like that and catch a hot streak whenever I can and ride it as long as it'll last, and see where that puts me. But it starts with the head as opposed to the physical stuff.
Does age make that ability to conquer the head easier or more difficult? I ask that because you look at like a kid like this Cameron Champ, who's
he might not even understand it.
He might not even know.
He's
like 20 years old, and he's you know, he's played in a lot of big things, but he hasn't played in a whole lot of these. And you have, and I mean,
it is. That's actually a really good question. It's a good point, because at first stage, like, I wondered, hey, you know, my experience, my confidence, I'm great. And then I talked about the overconfidence, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, like, now you might not get through first stage, and then that whole horrible thought of like the failure and all that. It's just like, if I was naive and young, I would have gone in overconfidence and just played golf, you know, and then, you know, you don't want it to. You got to find that balance, and I've tried to, and I think I have it. I think I have it in my head well enough that I can easily regroup, not let this get me down. Whatever happens tomorrow, not going to get me too high either way. So my age or my experience level, I'd like to think that I'm smart enough to handle it either way, you know, whether it's up or down. But there is a great thing to be said about the naivete of youth, basically.
Yeah. Well, and then there's another question to go along with that. You know, a kid his age probably has, you know, mathematically, you know, 14 or 15 years of trying to do this. Yet at the same time, you've done pretty well for yourself, you know, whether you get through something like this or not. Has that changed? I mean, it used to be if someone didn't get, you know, it used to be the PGA Tour qualifying school, then people, you know, there wasn't really the web.com option, or a lot of these mini tours with, you know, solid enough purses to make a living. But is that part of it gone, or is there still some of that you got to do this or you got to do that when you get to a situation like this to, you know, to make the most of it?
I think, yeah, I mean, I think in my situation, I think you got to get through. I mean, there just isn't a lot of great options out there. There's only one way to get on the there's basically one way to get on the PGA Tour. That's through this Q school, but that's also through web. I'm too old to chase the European Tour or Asian Tour. I don't want to go over there and get lost in Asia for 4 or 5 years and try and play my way onto Europe and then play my way onto the US or onto the PGA Tour. You know, like, this is one step. It's web.com, then it's PGA Tour. Besides that, you know, it's like, okay, there's many tours to play, but they aren't great options. You know, there's Canada and Latin America have really squeezed out any mini tours that exist in the U.S. and any chance of actually, you know, maybe being profitable on the mini tours. So it's changed since when I started, and it's changed for me too since I've gotten a lot older. And it's like, it just, you know, I kind of looked at it like, you know, I'm not trying to. I didn't want to put the pressure on myself that all eggs were in one basket, but that's the reality of it. You know, I'm just at the point where I can't get sponsors exemptions. There's no way to kind of sneak into a web.com event. I have to play my way in, and you know, and it's tough. You know, just you can't go out and have 2 doubles and shoot that 76. You know, it really, you really got to play some good golf to make it.
Does that? How do you tune that out now for the next 3 days? And I mean, or is it always there, kind of on the shoulder? You just kind of have to play through it.
You know, when I'm hitting the shots, and you know, and walking, it's relatively easy to tune out. Just be like, hey, you're just playing golf. You know, here's your yardage, here's the wind. Just hit the shot. You know, I got my routine. I'm able to block that out. It enters your mind. You know, sitting back at the hotel, a little bit of you know, especially if I'm able to kind of get back towards the number and start and play well the next 2 days. But you just got to try and block all that out. You know, that's kind of the tricky thing of Q school, is there's so much extra kind of fanfare or just mumbling going on. You know, just what everyone's talking about, and you know, I've always thought I've done a good job of just saying it's just golf. You know, let these other guys kind of get over anxious. You know.
Sure.
But then, you know, what happened to me today was just like, swing felt fine, putting stroke felt fine, short game felt fine, and walk up with a 76, and I'm like, I haven't shot that since I don't know when. Yeah.
But your bread and butter, to put a positive close to this, is that you have gotten to be the kind of player that can, you know, package together birdies and bunches. You've taken it low, you know, especially the last 2 years on many occasions. And I mean, you don't want to force anything. Obviously, this game doesn't allow for that too often, but do you feel on this course that can come to you here, and do you kind of draw from, you know, those kind of positive experiences in trying to rally here these next couple days to be in position come Friday?
Yeah. There's plenty of tournaments that I've gotten better as every round has gone on. You know, and it doesn't necessarily start out this slow, but you know, I can think of one state open at Black Wolf Run where I shot 76, 75 first 2 days, made it on the number, and then similar to this, I was like, well, I don't feel like I'm playing that bad, just I wasn't making any putts, I wasn't hitting it close enough, and then all of a sudden I shot 10 under the final day.
Wow. And
finished 5th. And I'm not saying I can go out and easily put up a 69, 65, but I've done it before, and I've had other crazy final rounds, and just stretches where the more comfortable I get on the course, whether it's around the greens or just even on the greens, and it just ends up clicking, and I'm in the zone, and I love to ride it. When that does happen, you know, I love to just let that go and let the birdies happen, you know, and they kind of do. They do in the bunches, but you can't force it. You know, you never can. You just keep hitting good shots, keep finding a target and trying to believe, like, okay, it can happen. And I hope it happens before the last 9 holes. You know, I don't want to. You see that a lot too, where all of a sudden the last 9 holes, everything starts going in, and there's a 31 for you after you shot 3 76s. But I don't believe that's going to be the case. You know, I'm just the game's too solid for it to keep trending like this.
Well, go out there and get those birdies, buddy.
All right, thanks.